Assalamu alaikum dear students. I welcome you all here at Allama Iqbal Open University Studios. The very interesting part about today is when I took my breakfast in the morning, I chose the topic for today. My mom was telling my nephew that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Articles were used in this phrase and I thought we should learn something about articles, a and the. This is all what I know about articles and I hope all of you also know only this bit. A and the are the articles. To know the details and every bit of it, we want our very own expert, Mr. Arshad Mahmood. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Arshad.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
I want to tell you the interesting part. I was just sharing it with all the learners that when I took my breakfast, I chose the topic for today. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. There are articles in this phrase. So me and I hope all the learners, we want to know the details about the articles.
Can we say the apple a day keeps our doctor away?
No.
Will it be wrong?
No, it sounds different.
Yes, good. Sound. Because sometimes you know the thing, but you can't explain. So there are three articles, basically two articles in English, but one of them has got two different shapes, A and N.
Right.
There is the. That is the biggest problem for us.
So basically there are two articles. I thought there are three, A and the. An is the form of A.
Yes, and the is separate.
And has got some link with the vowels and all that.
Exactly, with the sound.
Okay.
So A and N they are usually called articles, or they as well. They are really demonstrative adjectives. They demonstrate like they pointed out at somebody or something. There are two articles in English language, as I've said, an or the. A or an is called the indefinite article because it leaves the person or the thing talked about indefinite. I mean, we don't know who the person is exactly. In other words, it does not make something or somebody specific or definite. For example, if I say a book, it may be
a novel or any book.
Any book, you're right. If I say a city,
any city.
I visited a city, it might be.
You never know which city you visited.
Yes, it can be any city. The is called the definite article because it points out some particular person or thing. Where is the book?
The book I am talking about.
Yes, and you know which book I am talking about. It means when the speaker and the learner, they have the shared knowledge, then the is used.
Right.
The book means you know which book I'm talking about.
Right.
So here the book is a particular book and both the speaker and the listener know which book is being referred to. Now we will discuss these articles in detail. First, A or an. The choice between A or an is determined by the sound.
Right.
Sound of what? Sound of the next word.
Right.
Before a word beginning with a vowel sound, an is used. You've got many examples. An orange.
An apple.
An apple. An apple a day. An egg. An hour. An hour. It is not
an
in
hour.
fact,
H is not a.
in spellings it's starting with H.
But
That
the
is
sound
a consonant.
is,
Sound
right.
is because it depends on the
Now
sound.
I understand the definition that it depends. It is determined by the sound.
By the sound, not the letter.
Right.
Hour is a word, and similarly, honesty or honest. For
Honesty.
example, I cannot say he is honest or honest. Some people say even honest. So he is an honest because her sound is silent there.
Right.
Some more examples. An heir. Can you spell the word heir? An heir.
Aya.
Like I said, an honest man, an orange, an heir.
I don't know how to spell it because I don't know what you are pronouncing it.
Heir? H-E-I-R.
H-E-I-R. I seriously don't know.
Heir, like in Urdu, what do we say? Varis?
Right.
Like heir to his father's property.
Varis.
An umbrella. No,
An
umbrella. Umbrella is a word that starts with U, which might behave in two different ways. U might behave as a consonant. For example, in European, I cannot say an European.
Right.
Say
A
a
European.
European man. Right. If a word is beginning with a consonant sound, we use a before it. For example, a boy, a pen, a useful tool, a university. Remember, I gave you the example of umbrella where U is being used as a vowel sound, but here in this word, U is giving the sound of a consonant sound. That's why we are using a, not an. And of course, what I said, a European style. In the similar fashion, we say a 1 rupee note or a one-eyed man. We cannot say an one-eyed man because one is a word that although is beginning with O, but here it is giving us wa, that is a consonant sound. Some words begin with H, but this H is not stressed. In such cases, we often see that the native speakers drop it and use an before the word instead of a. I think quite interesting for you. For example, an historical novel, an hotel, etc. I'm not saying that you can't say a hotel or a historical novel, but I'm saying native speakers, they might say an hotel or an historical novel because I think in these words, H is not important and the stress goes to, like in its historical second part, that is to, historical. And in hotel, that is being pronounced here as hotel, stress is on the second part. So in such cases, which are not many, they use an, not a. But even if you use a, that won't be wrong. Now we'll discuss definite article the. That I think is a big problem, and the reason is that we don't have this thing in our language. We don't use the, we don't have any other form of the in our language, and I've observed that we don't use this in our regional languages. None of the languages uses this sort of idea. That is why when we start learning English language, we face some problems in using the. Sometimes we don't use where it should be used, sometimes we simply overuse it. So this is a big problem. So when we speak of a particular person or thing, or one already referred to, we should use the. For example, the student you are talking about is the best athlete of our school. So here the student, we're focusing on a particular person. It might be Khalid, Ali, Tipu, but we know we don't need to talk we don't need to call him by name because the refers to that person. Second example, I didn't like the match. And if I'm telling you this thing, you know which match we're discussing. He didn't bring the cassette, I wanted the cassette. You cannot say he didn't bring cassette, I wanted the cassette. And sometimes we use the when a singular is meant to represent a whole class. For example, the dog is a loyal animal. So when I say the dog, it means all the dogs in the world. So this dog that is being shown with the help of the is representing or standing for the whole class, the whole species of dogs. The cat loves places, not people. And then we've got the banyan is a kind of fig tree. Here some of you might ask the question as to what is the difference between the and the, I mean, which one is right? I would say both of them are right, but the difference is that the is used before a word that begins with a consonant sound, and the is used before a word that begins with a vowel sound. For example, I would say the apple. If I say the apple, that is not wrong, but native speakers will not say the like before a consonant or the before a vowel sound. Some more examples: the boy, not the boy, and the orange, not the orange. Sometimes we use it for the sake of emphasis. I remember on PTV there used to be an ad where the man used to say, "It's the paint." Here, not the paint, the is being used because he wants to give it some sort of speciality, just some sort of importance, and just to claim that this is the best paint in the world. That's why the paint. But note that the two nouns, we're talking about the class, like the dog, the cat, but man and woman, they don't take the. For example, I'll say the man is mortal. If I say this, that is wrong. So the sentence is man is mortal and woman is man's mate. After this, we also use this before newspapers, magazines, and holy books. The Nation, the Jung newspapers, the Time magazine, the Quran, and the Bible. So we use the before these books, important books, and newspapers and magazines. We also use the before mountain ranges. For example, the Himalayas, the Alps, and the Karakoram. But we don't use it with single mountain peaks. For example, if you say the K2, you'll be wrong. Or the Mount Everest, that is wrong. It would be K2 and not the K2. I'll give you some examples of mountain ranges and single mountain. For example, the Karakoram is situated between Pakistan, Tibet, and India. And K2 is the second highest peak in the world, and Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. I hope you're getting my point. Then we'll move to the next point. We also use the before things that are unique of their kind. For example, the sun, the moon, the Jupiter, the earth, etc. But we never say the God. Though we can say the God of rain, but that God would be small g. When we talk about God, the one we believe in, we always write with capital G, and for that God we don't use the, because that is the only God. Although we use the before unique things, here God is an exception, but God with small g definitely takes the, because if you look at the history, the Romans, the Greek, and the Indians today, they have got different gods. For example, the god of rain, the god of sun, the god of glory, the god of victory. For example, Nike, what people usually pronounce Nike. Nike was a goddess of victory in ancient time. It was a belief of the ancient Greeks that Nike was a sort of symbol of victory, and whenever they went for a war, they put the statue of Nike on a cart before the armed forces, and then they would go for the war. And they thought that it was some sort of good omen for them, and because of her statue they would win the war. That's why today there's a company that is called Nike that makes shoes and shirts and these sort of sport things, but the word is wrongly mispronounced. That is Nike. It should be Nike. So we say Nike, we don't say Nike.
And what about Adidas?
Like Nike, you're right. If we refer to Nike as a sports company, we don't use the, but we refer to Nike,
The goddess.
then we say the Nike. Not the Nike, we say the goddess of victory.
Okay.
But Nike will not take the before,
before
because
it.
that's a proper noun.
Okay.
Adidas is just like a company. People say, what does Adidas stand for? Any idea? People usually think it's for all day I dream about sports.
I have no idea what does Adidas
I'm not sure,
stand
but
for.
this is what people say. Adidas means all day sports, all day I dream about sports.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, we also use the before seas, rivers, deserts, and oceans. For example, the Indus. We can say Indus flows through Pakistan. The Indus, and the Pacific, the Sahara. The Sahara, I think is the Sahara is the vastest, the biggest desert in the world. The Mediterranean. We also use the before nations to differentiate them from the language of that nation. For example,
The British.
the English, the German. When I say the English, it means I'm referring to the people. I don't need to say the English people.
Okay,
I'll make two sentences. I like German, but I hate the German. I don't hate, but I'm telling you just for the sake of giving the difference. The German
is for their language.
nation, the people.
Okay.
And German means the language.
The language,
For
German.
example, English is a very difficult language, and the English always follow rules.
Okay,
The
the
English
English
means
people.
So when I say the, we mean the people, and we simply drop the means language. But we can't do this thing to Urdu language, because for Urdu we've got Urdu is only language. People are not called Urdu, or Pakistani means people. Pakistani doesn't mean language. So here Urdu doesn't take the, people don't take the Pakistanis. It is used for the nations or for countries where the name of the language and the people is same. The Spanish means people, the German means people, but Russian means language. That's the idea.
Okay.
And in the same way, we use the before the countries' names if their name is in abbreviated form or if the full name is used. In other words, I cannot say the Pakistan, but if I say Islamic Republic of Pakistan, I must use the. Yeah. People's Republic of China is wrong. The People's Republic of China. Or if the country's name is in abbreviated form, for example, the USA, the UK, the UAE, the KSA.
We say the USA, but when we say United States of America, then
we
don't
then
use.
we say the.
The United States of
when
America.
we say America,
Then we don't use
yes,
any article.
the KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but when you say Saudi, then simply
Just
that is
Saudi.
without the.
Okay.
But we don't use the before the names of people, places, villages, towns. Place includes so many things. So
We can't
before
say the Mr. Arshad is teaching us about articles.
if you say this, means you've learned something wrongly. Okay, and like place includes villages, towns, cities. We can't say the Lahore. We can't say, let's say,
The Rawalpindi. I am from the Rawalpindi.
Yes, I'm from Pindi. Because why? The name is already referring to something. If I say Pindi, it means it is already specific. And da is used to make somebody something specific.
Even more specific.
So when something is already specific, no need to use da. Da is also used before superlatives. Superlatives, adjective in English has got 3 degrees.
That's the third degree of adjective.
Yes, positive and comparative and superlative.
Superlative.
Just like verb has got 3 forms: present, past, past participle. So adjectives have got 3 different forms. Positive, that is used like for example, he's a good boy. And then when we talk about comparison, we use second
better.
form. He's better than
some other
than. And then best.
He's
for
the best among
we
all.
Yeah. And here one more confusion is that people often pronounce the superlative form with st as est. For example, biggest, tallest, fastest. That is wrong. It should be ist.
Okay.
In spelling it is est,
In
but in spoken,
pronunciation.
yes, learners, I hope you're learning. EST should be pronounced as ist.
Ist.
For example, biggest, tallest, hardest, fastest, longest. Got the idea? But BEST, best, remains best. It doesn't change into
Now these days we
Best.
use slangs like she's my bestest friend.
bestest.
That is totally a slang word. That is not a part of the original language.
Sure. So sometimes people they say he is the most kindest sort of thing. You see, again repeating.
You're the kindest person I ever met.
Exactly. And then some adjectives don't take they don't take this form. They simply take more or most.
Okay.
For example, fast, faster, fastest, big, bigger, biggest, but horrible, more horrible, and most horrible. Interesting, more interesting, most interesting. Why?
Beautiful.
Because big, fat, these words have got only one part.
What about if we say beautiful, beautiful, more beautiful, most
Yes.
beautiful?
It means a word which has got more than one part, it takes more and most. Word which has got only one part, one syllable, technically speaking,
Right.
that takes ER or EST.
Okay. I hope that is clear to you. Keep on noting it for yourself.
So da is also used before, as I said, superlatives. For example, the best poet, the fastest man on the planet. Who is he?
The fastest man on planet.
In last Olympic Games, he won so many gold medals.
Our own Pakistani.
No, he was from Jamaica. I think Usain Bolt.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that. By the way, my general knowledge is so poor. Please.
right, the most hardworking boy in the whole class. Here, hardworking, I'm not using like EST because hardworking is a word that has got 3 syllables. Hard, 1, work, 2, ing, 3. So it will take more or most. So we're using most and da because it's superlative form.
Okay.
Before the ordinals, the first man to reach. We cannot say first man to reach. These are the ordinals. And the last prophet. We cannot say last prophet. These ordinals.
Okay.
Sometimes we say the poor or the rich or the injured to refer to each person who is poor, each person who is injured or rich. For example, the poor in Pakistan are in big trouble. The poor means all the poor.
Every poor
man in Pakistan. Or the injured were taken to the hospital. Means everybody who was injured.
When we used the before poor, that is the used before the whole poor community, like a bunch of it.
Yes,
not
all
for
of
a single
them.
person.
Or we can say poor people. The poor or poor people. So here we're using the for the sake of let's say making something more precise.
All right.
Instead of saying poor people, the poor. So this is quite technical, but I think if people learn some other languages like German or French, they will find it even more difficult because in for example in German, they use article, different article before something that is masculine, what we call muzakkar, something that is feminine that takes a different article, and then for plural they use different article, and for let's say something that is neutral they use a different article. So German, French language, these languages are very, I would say, they're more difficult than English in terms of article and grammar. So English may be difficult, people commit mistakes, but it is not that
Comparatively, it's
yeah,
easy.
it is easy, I think. And once I was teaching a boy, he had already done masters in German language. When I gave him some sentences to change from active to passive,
Right.
he said, I think English is the easiest language in the world.
He was right, and thank God English is the universal language. If German or Chinese or any other language was a universal language, we should have failed.
Definitely.
Totally. I would have failed completely.
And there are people who feel this thing. For example, in English society, there were kids who were forced to learn Latin and Greek, Latin rules, all the cases like nominative and ablative and vocative and
Every
and,
other language, as
subject.
compared to we don't find our own language as difficult, but any other language, if we look at it, English is the most easiest as compared to any other language.
Most easiest.
Most easiest.
English is the
See,
easiest,
I'm learning.
the easiest language. And you see, if you look at Urdu language, we don't have this article, but still our communication never fails. And sometimes I feel, what's the point of using this article in English even? If I say Mediterranean, if I say, for example, Sahara, or if I say Himalayas, there's only one Himalayas. Why do they use the? I mean, the Himalayas. Why not Himalayas? If I say Himalayas is one of the famous.
Just to emphasize.
But again, why emphasize Himalayas? I don't know. I mean, there's no logic.
Ambiguity.
I feel sometimes that even if we don't use the, communication is still there. Message is conveyed, but according to rules, we have to use the.
We have to follow the rules. Loopholes are always there, but we have to follow the rules in the
And
end.
English is a language where they say there is only one rule, that there is no rule.
There is no rule.
Because
Seriously.
if you look at past forms, for example, if you say to change a verb into past form, we use D or ED. And you give so many examples, for example, watch, watched, and play, played, smile, smiled,
Hear, heard.
but go, went, gone, catch, caught, caught, spin, spun, spun. Similarly, we say we add ER or EST before adjectives, but the very next moment we add more or most.
Yes.
So English is the language where we don't have many rules. Like we say, when we compare two things, for example, two adjectives, he is taller than me, and he is more hardworking than me. Ali is cleverer than Usman.
You
but
said cleverer.
Cleverer. And the next moment we say, he is superior to, not than.
Any other person, yeah.
Not than. Superior to, inferior to, junior to. So that's why we say English doesn't have many rules, but these rules have to be learned if you really want to pass your exams and if you want to score
Or you
high
really want
marks.
to learn English.
Yes, and because English has become international language, it is called lingua franca, global lingua franca. If you have a friend from some other country, the language of communication is going to be English. Or the other option is that you learn the language of that person, or he learns your language. That is quite difficult. So the only option left is English language.
And I would like to add something. If we call on any helpline, we hear IVR, you know, English में मालूमात के लिए दो दबाइए, उर्दू की मालूमात के लिए. I don't know, everybody, including me, we do have a fear. We go for the Urdu ki malumat ke liye ek dubaiye. We never go to the English details. Why? Because we are hesitant.
Yes.
We hesitate. We do hesitate.
Exactly. We feel that we may not be able to get the information in the right way.
In the right
we may
way.
fumble.
Or maybe we should miss something, so we should go for the Urdu that is easier.
So, dear learners, if you really want to learn these rules, the best way for you is to buy any good grammar book, or you're seeking help from this program as well. I hope it is going to help you a lot. But for further details, I can mention few books. One is by Wren and Martin, that is High School English Grammar. The other is by Thompson and Martinet. There are many grammar books available in the market, because there are some slight shades of and different rules are there. If you want to learn these things in detail from examination point of view, because in exam you cannot afford to commit a mistake, you will simply lose marks. So for that, I think you should consult good book, and I hope the book is going to give you a lot. Talking about books, if you really want to see something that is easy, reader friendly, that is written in easy English, that is the book that is been given to you by the Allama Iqbal Open University. That book explains these rules in very easy
And is
language, and I
easily
think interesting,
understandable.
yeah, with pictures as well. So I think that book is very useful for you people.
Thank you, Mr. Arshad. We learn a lot from Mr. Arshad. We really do. This is all from Allama Iqbal Open University Studios. I hope you enjoyed the topic. And inshallah, we'll bring another interesting topic. Take care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.